Hi, my name is Paola Herrera Nava, and this is my personal leadership effectiveness plan. I'm a biomedical engineer currently completing my MBM at the Gade Business School. And over the next few minutes, I want to walk you through four things. The first one is how I led with intention. The second one is what makes me unique as a leader, how I adapt my leadership to different people and situations, and the ethical principles that anchor all of it. This is the agenda that I will follow. My plan is built on four pillars. The first one is my leadership intent. The second is my leadership traits, skills, and strengths. The third one is my personalized contingency model. And finally, my ethical leadership framework. So let's start with intent. So the first one, leadership intent, my behavior. Effective leadership starts with honest self-awareness, and for me that meant confronting a pattern rooted in pride. During my final project of my career, my team was optimizing the manufacturing process for pigtail catheters. I proposed that core idea based on hands-on experience I'd gained working in the medical device industry, which was CESA Techniplex. I did my internship in there, and I was part of the R&D, part of the engineering process. When a teammate proposed changes of the design of the catheter without the same technical background, my internal reaction was immediate. Why is she trying to change something that she doesn't have the knowledge to back up? That thought shaped my behavior. Instead of opening a conversation, I quietly moved forward with my own decisions, leaving her out of the process entirely. But it was because I knew how it was how it works, you know. My read of the situation was colored by something deeper than the technical disagreement, because there was an existing dynamic of academic competition between us. I wasn't just protecting the project, I was protecting my ego, because when when someone doesn't agree with me, it like triggers me a little bit. This is a pattern I recognize beyond that one project. When someone without my level or expertise questions my work, I interpret it as a challenge to my competence, and I respond by taking control of my own work rather than opening the conversation. Leadership intent, the shift of my behavior. So, how am I changing this? I built a simple rule for myself. When I act prideful towards someone who questions my work, I will stop, think about the fact that their own opinion can also enrich the project, and choose to listen to their perspective before dismissing it. That translates into two concrete commitments. First, I actively listen to every team member, treating their input as equally valuable, regardless of their technical background, because their perspective can complete mine, not compete with it. Second, before making any unilateral call, I explicitly open space for the other person to explain their reasoning instead of assuming it has no merit. This single shift from defending my expertise to diagnosing before deciding is actually the foundation for the leadership model I will show you shortly. Adopting this intent doesn't mean lowering my standards. It means recognizing that my technical judgment and someone else's perspective aren't in competition. They are both inputs I need. So, with that in mind, what makes me unique? I think it's my heart, my head, and my hands. To understand how I lead, it helps me to understand who I am across three dimensions: heart, head, and hands. My heart is shaped by my core values: family, gratitude, and respect. My head is defined by a creative, solutions oriented way of thinking, a direct product of my engineering training, and my hands, my most concrete talent, come from a lifetime as a competitive folkloric dancer. Let me walk you through each one, because together they explain both my strengths and my growth edges as a leader. So for my heart, it's mainly based on values, personality, and strengths. Through a formal values assessment, my top three values came out consistently as family, gratitude, and respect. My values archetype was named the harmonizer, which means someone who finds deep satisfaction in creating harmony and bringing people together, and who is drained by conflict. My personality assessment confirmed this. I'm an ENFP, which is warm, outgoing, and people oriented, with warmth as my single highest trait. And when I completed the Be a Character Strength survey, my top two strengths were kindness and social intelligence, the ability to read what people need and connect with them accordingly. Here's what's important about this pattern. Notice that leadership itself, in the traditional authority driver sense, actually scored among my lowest strengths. That's not a weakness, which is basically a signal. It tells me that my leadership isn't going to come from asserting control, it's going to come from building trust. When it comes to how I think, I'm mostly a creative thinker. I naturally come up with solutions other people don't see. As an engineer, this shows. It's what led to the idea I proposed for my cathedral project, and I've also noticed it at John Deere, where working with business people made me realize that this drive to find new solutions is really an engineering thing, not something they do as naturally. And my strongest talent hasn't nothing to do with business at all. I've been dancing folkloric dance since I was 3 years old, and I'm part of the Tech's representative dance group. And I've performed in countries like France, the US, Paraguay, and Spain. Dance taught me discipline, how to learn fast, and how to perform well, even under pressure. And I use those same skills at work today. Basically, I bring the technical, creative mind of an engineer combined with leadership style that puts people first. My personalized contingency model. This brings me to the core of my leadership approach. My personalized contingency model, which I call diagnose before direct model. I built this by combining two theories. The first one is the Hersey Blanchard situational leadership model, and the second one is House's path goal theory. The model works into two layers. First, I diagnose, I assesses a collaborator's energy, motivation, and competence through open dialogue, not assumption. That diagnosis points me to one of four approaches. Counsel, when someone has high competence but low energy or motivation, I validate first, then guide, train. When competence is low but motivation is high, I build structure and confidence. Consult, when someone is overwhelmed, I break down scope and share ownership. And direct, when all three are low, I provide clear structured direction. Second, I layered into path goal thinking. Beyond just diagnosing readiness, I ask what kind of support actually removes the obstacle in front of the specific person. And whichever approach I use, I anchor it in one constant respect, the same standard every single time. This model exists specifically to interrupt the distinct I described myself earlier. The instinct to assume I already know what's wrong and step in to fix it myself. Applying the model, let me show you how this plays out into two different contexts. Looking back at my capstone project, if I had diagnosed before acting, I might have discovered that my teammates' disengagement wasn't about a lack of competence at all. It might have been about feeling excluded from a project she felt competitive about. The correct approach may have been counsel, hearing her out, rather than the silent, directive approach I actually used. Today, I'm applying this model in real time in my market strategy at Customer Insights Practicum at John Deere. When a teammate's progress stalls, I now diagnose before assuming it. If has the skill but is born out, I counsel. If someone is unfamiliar with a specific technical exercise, I train them through it rather than just reassigning it. If the scope itself feels overwhelming, I consult. breaking it into phases and sharing ownership instead of absorbing it all myself, which has always been my default instinct as a person who often proposes the original idea. In both cases, the model asks the same thing of me: lead by understanding first. Ethical leadership, my framework. Every leadership decision I make sits on top of an ethical foundation. So let me close with that. To me, ethics is the minimum standard that must be upheld, not an aspirational ceiling, but not negotiable floor. It's what's basically expected of a person. Apply consistently across every part of life, not selectively, depending on who's watching. My personal faith plays a significant role in shaping this. My convictions around respect and gratitude are informed as much by my beliefs as by my upbringing, and that shows up. In simple standard, I hold myself to. I treat people with respect regardless of what I receive in return. It's not transactional, it's just who I am. To keep growing as an ethical leader, my approach is simple: prioritize my team's integrity before demanding results without empathy. I'm leading people who feel, not just tasks that I need to be completed. So I stay conscious of how my actions lands on people around me, and I hold myself to the same standard I would want applied for me. So, for ethical leadership in practice, this framework becomes five main commitments. First, I communicate ethical standards early, setting clear expectations with my team from day one, with zero tolerance for disrespect and demonstrating those standards through my own actions rather than just staging them. When it comes to dilemmas, my anchor is simple: I will control my own actions, not other people's behavior. So I start with myself and let my team see how the standard through how I work. On accountability, if someone doesn't meet the ethical baseline I consider not negotiable, I address it directly. And if the behavior doesn't change, I can't continue working with that person, not just for my own integrity, but for the integrity of the whole team. For stakeholders, I will lead with the same social intelligence that defines my hard dimension, actively listening before deciding and asking explicitly how a decision affects every group involved, because no decision happens into vacuum. I finally model this every day by never asking my team for something I'm not willing to do myself, including owning my own mistakes openly, specifically when it's uncomfortable. To sum it up, my leadership is about breaking my own habit of wanting to control everything and replacing it with a real effort to understand people first. I'm doing this on purpose, using strengths that come naturally to me, such as being warm, socially aware, and creative when solving problems, all held together by one non negotiable rule: respect. I believe that combining strong technical skills with people first leadership is exactly what lets me build trust while still getting results.